Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this session, we will continue with the immune system, and we reach to the inflammatory response. About the inflammatory response, it is from the non-specific responses of the body. That response triggers when the body tissues is injured. So when an injury is there will be some tissue destruction that will lead to the inflammatory process occur in a response to physical trauma or any chemical irritation or virus or bacteria. So any injury, anything that trigger or lead to irritation of the tissues and damage of the tissue, it will lead to that inflammatory process. The function of the inflammatory process or inflammatory response is to prevent the spread of the damaged agent to other tissues, and also to dispose the cell debris and pathogen through phagocytosis, and also to promote tissue repair. So prevent the spread and also help in phagocytosis and dispose of the cell debris and promote the tissue repair. So, four most common indicators of acute inflammation. In any acute inflammation, there are four signs of inflammation. The first sign, which is redness, hotness, swelling, and pain. So those are the signs of, or the cardinal signs of inflammation. We will see why those signs are held. So in case of injury, again, there will be cell damage. That cell damage, from the cell which is damaged, it will lead to release of kinin, histamine, and other chemical substances. Those chemical substances, it will be spread on at the site of the injury. It will come to the blood vessels in the area, act on the blood vessels, lead to dilatation of the blood vessels. The dilatation of the blood vessels, it will lead by that to increase the blood flow to the area. So the blood flow to the injured area, it will be increased due to the effect of that chemical substances on the blood vessels and dilatation of the blood vessels, which lead to redness due to the presence of high amount of blood, and also it will lead to high hotness. The hotness, it is due to also increase the metabolism at that site and the rate of the tissue metabolism at the injured site. Also, when blood is coming more to the area, it means that it will bring with it more nutrient, and it will bring also more oxygen. More nutrient and oxygen, it will enhance metabolism, increase the heat at the area, it will enhance the healing process. Then also the effect of those chemical substances in the capillaries at the area, also they will dilate. That dilatation of the capillaries, you remember from the previous chapter in cardiovascular system, we said that the capillaries, they are only one layers. So when the capillaries wall dilate, it means that the space between those it will be more, and it will lead to leak of the fluid from the capillaries. That leak of fluid or increased passage of fluid from the capillaries to the tissues, it will lead to edema. So swelling will be there in the tissues. That swelling that edema, it will also affect or compress on the nerve ending at the area. That compression on the nerve ending, it will lead to pain. So this will explain the signs of inflammation, which is redness, hotness, pain, and swelling. That edema also, it is possible temporary limitation of the joint. It will lead to limitation of joint movement. It will lead to decrease of the movement. It will enhance the process of healing. Also, the leak of fluid. The fluid, it has clotting protein. So those clotting protein which is coming out from the capillaries, they will act with the fibrin, form fibrin barriers. That fibrin barriers, it will coat the site of the injury. By coating the site of the injury, it will prevent the contamination of the injured part and prevent the passage of microorganisms to the internal tissues and causing infection. On the other hand, also neutrophils and monocyte and other white blood cells enter the area due to chemotaxis action. Removal, they will lead to removal of damaged and dead tissues cell by the and pathogen in the area by phagocytosis. So this will clear out the cause of damage and also the damaged tissues, the damaged cells. So this is again the inflammatory process and how it is happened with the phagocyte and mobilization chemotaxis, as we said here, by the neutrophil. Neutrophil migrate from bone marrow to the area of inflammation by rolling along the vessel wall, following the cells, and neutrophil squeeze through the capillary. They are squeezed themselves through the capillaries wall by the Dendritic cells to site of the inflammation. So they will go to the site of the inflammation. The neutrophils gather in the site of the tissues injury, positive chemotaxis to attract them, and also consume any foreign material present there. So they will do phagocytosis and they will engulf the antigens there and deal with them. About the clotting protein, as we said, they are leaked from the tissues, from the capillaries, and they are doing local protection, as we said before. Again, for summary of non-specific body defense mechanism, we have the antimicrobial chemicals. The antimicrobial chemicals, we have the complement. The complement, it is a group of plasma protein that lyses microorganisms, enhance phagocytosis by optimization, and enter inflammatory process. So they will enhance the process of the inflammatory process. The interferon also, protein also released by the virus-infected cells. When virus enter the body and infect the cell, that cell which is infected, it will release the interferon. So it is a protein released by virus-infected cells that protect the uninfected tissue cells from the viral takeover and mobilize the immune system. So it will enhance the immune system. The other thing which is fluid with the pH. So Normally, the acid or the pH, it will inhibit the growth of bacteria. So, the acidity of urine, it will give normal immunity by that cleanliness of the lower urinary tract as flushing of the body. The systemic responses triggered by the pathogens, high body temperature also inhibit the multiplication of bacteria and enhance the body responses to injury. The antimicrobials proteins enhance the innate defense by attacking microorganisms directly. So they are attack the microorganism directly and hindered reproduction of the microorganism. So they are acting in two ways. So the antimicrobial protein in our body enhancing the innate defense mechanism by attacking directly the microorganism and also hinder the reproduction or prevent or alter the reproduction of the microorganism itself. So it will prevent its multiplication. The most important type are the complement protein. So we have the complement protein and the interferon. The complement protein refers to a group of at least 20 plasma protein. So they are plasma protein, they are circulating in our blood plasma, circulating, and they are inactive form in our body. And normally they are in an inactive form. Complement is activated when this plasma protein encountered with foreign cell. So they are activated when any abnormal cells or antigens are present there in our blood, like bacteria, like fungi, like also mismatched red blood cells in case of in case of blood transfusion, if it is not from the same group and it has antigen, known as the complement fixation. It is known as complement fixation. The function of complement protein is to lyse microbes, so it will lead to lysis of microbes, destroying of microbes by forming the membrane attack complex. So they will form what we call it the MAX, membrane attack complex. So the complement protein, it refers to more than 20 protein in our plasma. They are circulating in our plasma. They are in an inactive form. When they will be activated whenever any bacteria or any foreign antigen is coming in our body. So when that antigen is entering in our body, then it will be activated. The function of the complement protein, they are leading to lysis of microbes by forming membrane attack complex. So they will attach to the membrane of the cell of that antigen, and they are forming the what we call it, the MAGs. They will attach there, and they will form what we call it the MAG, and then they will lead to lysis of the microbes or the antigen. So enhance also facilitate the phagocytosis known as the opsonization. So it will lead to opsonization, and also activation of the inflammatory process. It will activate the inflammatory process. Also, it will lead to clearance of the immune complex AG and AB complex. So it will lead to clearance of them. So lysis of bacteria by forming of MAC. So the MAC, it will attach to the cell wall, and it will tag the pathogen to enhance its recognition and destruction by the phagocyte, which is called the opsonization. So it will attach to the membrane. It will attract the help the phagocyte to engulf those MAC cells, and then it will lead to lysis of them, activate the inflammatory response by triggering release of histamine from the mast cells, and also enhance the clearance of antigen-antibody complex and from the cells. So the interferon is protein also secreted by virus-infected cells, as we mentioned before in the previous slide. Interferon bind to the membrane receptor on the surrounding healthy cells surfaces, and this binding stimulates the synthesis of a protein that interfere with the ability of the virus to multiply on the other healthy cells. About the fever, in case of abnormally high body temperature, is systemic responses to invading of microorganisms. So this from the systemic responses of the invasion with microorganism. Hypothalamus, which is the thermal regulation, the thermostat of our body, can be reset in a higher to respond to biologen such as chemical secretion by the white blood cells exposed to foreign cell or to foreign body. Some immune benefits of fever. The fever itself decreases the growth and reproduction of the bacteria and virus, so it will decrease and inhibit the growth of the bacteria, and also lower the amount of iron available in the available to the bacteria. By that, it will inhibit the bacteria from multiplication. Also, enhance the neutrophil migration. So the neutrophil, it will migrate from the blood vessels to the tissue or to the site of injury in order to fight the infection. Increase production of the supercidin, which can kill the invaded microorganism. So it will increase the production of superoxides and promote the T lymphocyte production. So it will enhance the T lymphocyte production. So fever also increase the speed on the rapid process. So the process, it will be more rapid by the heat, because also metabolism will be enhanced. The adaptive body defense mechanism, also adaptive body defense mechanism are the body-specific defense system or the third line of defense mechanism. We discussed first in what we call the innate or non-specific defense mechanism. Now we will come to the adaptive or specific defense mechanism. For the adaptive or body defense mechanism, they are the body-specific defense system on their, which is the third line of defense mechanism. In this part, it is specific for a specific antigen. So the immune response is immune system response to threat on antigen. The immune response is triggered against a specific antigen. So they are act against specific antigen, and if a new antigen is coming there, it need to be oriented to it and trigger and fight it if it is exposed to it before, and if antibodies is formed for that. If it is a new one, in this case it will not recognize it, and the body has to formulate a new immune system, immunity against that. The initial also immune response primes the body to react more vigorously to the later exposure with the same antigen. So if we are getting an antigen, let's say 1 month ago, and in this case our body will start to formulate the antibodies, and that amount of antibodies will be low. But if we are exposed to another exposure of the same antigen, then the immune system will identify it fast, and it will produce more antibodies within a short period of time. So the peak of production of antibody, it will be high. 3 specific adaptive defense mechanism. It is antigen specific, so it is specific to that same antigen, it cannot fight any other antigen, so act against particular pathogens. It is also systemic, so it is not local. The inflammatory process is local, but here the adaptive is systemic. So those antibodies are circulating in the whole body, so immune is not restricted to the initial infection site. Also, it has memory. It has the ability to remember that antigen and to attack the antigen if it is coming for another time. So it recognize and then make a stronger attack on the previously encountered pathogen. The adaptive body defense mechanism is 2-arm system, the humoral immunity and the cellular immunity or cell-mediated immunity. So the humoral immunity, which is the antibody-mediated immunity, and the cellular immunity, which is the cell-mediated immunity. So both arms, they are acting together against the infection. So the type of immunity, the humoral immunity, as we said, which is antibodies-mediated immunity, the antibodies which formed in the body, so provide by antibodies present in the body fluid, it will be presented in the plasma. Circulating immunity, cell-mediated immunity, cellular-mediated immunity, sorry, which is the lymphocyte themselves defend the body and target virus-infected cells, cancer cells, cells of the foreign graft, so they are attacking them. Action is either direct lysis of the cell, so either they will directly lysis the cell, or indirect releasing of chemicals that enhance inflammatory responses or activate other immune cells. So their action is either directly on the antigen, they will lead to lysis and destruction of that cell or that foreign antigen, or it might be indirect by releasing of chemical substances that enhance the inflammatory response sorry, or activate their immune cell. antigen, non-self antigen. The non-self antigen, it is any substance capable to exist the immune system or to exciting the immune system and provoke an immune response. So the antigen, it is any substance that have the capability for exciting the immune system and providing immune response. Example of common antigen, foreign protein, which is the strongest antigen. Any foreign protein that's the body is identified as non-body protein, and then it will be activated. Nucleic acid also, and large carbohydrate, it is identified as antigen, and some also lipid and the balance of grains. Microorganism, all of them, they are identified as an antigen. There is self-antigen. The self-antigen, they are protein or molecule in our cells, are recognized by the immune system as self-antigen. They are recognized as protein from the body. So the immune system would not respond to them. They do not trigger the immune response, but what will happen? They are antigenic to other people. So those proteins, they are antigenic to other people and trigger an immune responses in case of transplant. Because of that, when they want to do organ transplant, the first thing that they have to do is to do tissue typing to see the compatibility of the tissues first. Even though with the compatibility of the tissues, there are some certain antigen. Because of that, they are giving immunosuppressive agent for those who are receiving organs from either donor in order to prevent the body from, or our immune system to be triggered by those antigen and to attack them. So it will reduce the ability of the immune system to attack those cells. But this will not be beneficial if the tissue typing is having too much difference. In this case, it will lead to attacking that tissue cells, attacking that organ which is transplanted, and that organ, it also, in this case, it has to be removed. Otherwise, it will be fatal. Cell of the adaptive defense system. Crucial cells of the adaptive system, we have the lymphocyte and we have antigen presenting cells. Lymphocyte and antigen representing cells. Lymphocyte respond to specific antigens. We have B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte. So those are responding to specific antigen, and we have the antigen representing cells which help the lymphocyte but do not respond to the specific antigen. So they are helping tagging the lymphocyte, the foreign body, and helping the lymphocyte, but they are not attacking directly. So the lymphocyte arise from the hemocytoblast in the red bone marrow. The T cell develop the immunocomplements, or the ability to respond to bind to a specific antigen in the thymus gland. So T cell, it will develop its ability to act against the microorganism or against the antigen in the thymus gland and provide cell-mediated immunity. Cell-mediated immunity. The B cell develop immunocomplements in the bone marrow and provide humoral immunity. So the red bone marrow, as we said, the immature native, the lymphocyte will be there. It will go to the thymus gland. In the thymus gland, it will lead to that go to lymph node, spleen, and other lymphoid tissues. So also from the bone marrow, it is going to the lymphoid tissue. So the red bone marrow, site of lymphocyte origin, primary lymphocyte organs site here, which is the B and T lymphocyte. It is the thymus gland and also the lymph node. Secondary lymphoid organs site, antigen encounter, which is activate to become effective and memory B or T cell. So the lymphocyte destined to become T cells migrate in the blood to the thymus gland and develop the immunocomplement there. The B cell develop the immunocomplement in the red bone marrow, and in the red bone marrow there, the immunocomplement, but still immature lymphocyte leave the thymus and bone marrow. They see the lymph node. They will go to the lymph node, spleen, and other lymphoid tissue where they encounter their antigen and become activated. So they will be activated in the lymph nodes or the spleen. Antigen activated and become mature here in the blood. Then from the lymphatic system it will go to the blood, and it as an activated mature cells, immunocomplement lymphocyte, effector cell and memory cell will be there, circulating continuously in the bloodstream. So memory cell will be developed there, and they will be activated and running inside our blood stream. So when antigen, the same antigen is coming, they will recognize them and they will act against them. So in the blood stream and lymph and throughout the lymphoid organs of our body. So they are present and circulating in the blood vessels and the lymphatic system. The antigen representing cells engulf antigen and then present format of them on their own service like signal flag. So they will where they can be recognized by the T cell, and then the T cell, they will attack them. So major types of cell behavior as A, B, C or antigen presenting cells. Dendritic cells, so or macrophages or B lymphocytes. So antigen presenting cells, so they are tagging those cells in order to be attacked. Dendritic cells, the dendritic cells are antigen presenting cells, also known as accessory cells. They are widely distributed throughout the lymph organs and connective tissue. Their main function is to process antigen material and present it in the T cells. They act as link messengers between the innate and the adaptive immune system. So they are acting in between them. The macrophage found in the lymphoid organs and connective tissues will remain fixed there. They are not moving, waiting for the antigen to come to them. So they will remain in the connective tissue and lymph organs, waiting for the antigen to come on them and engulf foreign particles, act as antigen presenting to T cells, and T cell get activated. The activated T cell release chemical, which is in turn, that chemical cause the macrophage to become killer. So that when the T cell is activated, it releases chemical substance, which is in turn, it will cause macrophage to become a killer, and phagocyte mean to become hungry to eat and engulf bacteria. Thank you.